Bonjour les étudiants and welcome to this video on two of our new French verbs. Now these are the last two major irregular verbs that we're going to run into, and you're going to use them toujours, which is all the time, and they are aller and faire. Now since you're watching this video, that means that I am out on maternity because of the baby, so that means that I'm going to go ahead and run through all this just like I would in class. And you can feel free to pause and do whatever you need to with this video. But that way you have it all at one fell swoop if you so desire. So first off, we have aller, which is to go. So try it out, aller. There you go. And as you can see, I decided to have a little bit of fun with the cartoons today. So yeah, I couldn't resist. I like the guy's bunny shoes. All right, so anyways, aller. Now here's how we conjugate aller. So as you can see, we have lots of V's going on, and then these guys have L's just like aller does. So let's practice saying them together, and obviously you're going to want to practice writing them down so that way you know how to spell them properly. But let's go ahead and practice them. So we have je vais, tu vas, il va, nous allons, vous allez, ils vont. So let's try it again. Je vais, tu vas, il va, nous allons, vous allez, ils vont. Now, a couple of things to help you remember a little bit about how to do this. First off, you'll notice that, remember avoir, how it's j'ai, tu as, il a. Well, we have kind of the same sort of thing going on here because we have the a, and a, if that helps you remember how to spell things. You're also going to notice that we have V's here, 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 and here. And even though there's not a V in the word aller, it's just important to remember. It helps. At least it helped me. Now, a couple of other tips about using it. First off, the il conjugation is similar to être and avoir, which are our other two major French irregular verbs. So you'll remember with être, it's ils sont. With avoir, it's ils ont. Now remember, because we have the S here, and this starts with a vowel, we kind of say the S, but it sounds like a Z. It's called a liaison. So être is ils sont, avoir is ils ont. Hear the difference? Ils ont. Now you're going to notice that they both end with ONT, or in this case it's just ONT, and the same goes for here. So we have ils vont, ils sont, ils ont. There you go. Pretty cool, right? So make sure that you're practicing these conjugations because they are très importants, and make sure that you're nice and familiar with them as we go along. Now, one cool thing about aller is that you have been using this phrase all along. It's one of the first things that you learned. Comment allez-vous? How are you? Basically, how's it going? You literally. So there you go. Or when you say salut, ça va. There's the va right there. Ça va bien, ça va mal. All of those things are actually aller, which is très chouette, if you ask me. And of course, for all my Whovians out there, you know this phrase well, and you have since David Tennant was the doctor with allons-y. Allons. It means let's go. And the reason why is because aller is to go. Talk about cool, right? Now, speaking of ways to use it, let's talk about how to actually use it in a sentence en français. So, obviously, allons-y is one of them. It's a phrase, and we'll learn exactly why it looks that way later. But for now, let's talk about how you can use it in a regular sentence. So, for example, Monty goes to the vet soon. As you can see, we have go, aller, in the sentence already. And the cool thing is that it basically follows the same sort of pattern en français. So Monty va chez vétérinaire bientôt. So Monty goes to the vet chez vétérinaire. Chez is office of as well as home of. So chez vétérinaire means the veterinarian's office. Bientôt, which is soon. Now, if you want to look for more phrases like bientôt, soon, or ones that have to do with time, check out page 130 in our book Vis-a-vis. You'll see a ton of them. Super handy stuff. You'll want to make sure to check that out. All right, another way that we can use it, going back to how to make questions, where do you go for your vacation? Où allez-vous pour vos vacances? So where go you basically for your vacation? Now remember, vous, obviously we're going formal here. You could also use the tu form. So instead it would be où vas-tu pour ta vacance? It's just completely up to you. But as you can see, you just pop it into the sentence and use it just like we do in English. And then of course we go to church every Sunday. Obviously we go. So you can say nous allons au temple chaque dimanche. Now one note about this temple is that temple is actually the phrase that they use for a Protestant church. If you're talking about a Catholic church, it's église, which is spelled like this. So you would go to église chaque dimanche, every Sunday. So there you go. That is how aller works en général. And that should get you going. And of course, if you have questions, I'll be checking my email periodically as everything allows. So if you have questions, let me know. And my autoresponder will let you know where I'm at with responding to emails and how quickly you can expect responses. Now, one of the things that makes aller really cool is this thing called futur proche. Now, futur proche is a way of talking about things that happen in the near future. Now, when we talk near future, just for reference, we're talking about, it could be tomorrow, it could be in an hour, it could be in a year, it could be in 10 years. It just depends. It's a very relative thing, so don't stress out too much about it. But usually it talks about the near future. So how we form it is we use aller plus an infinitive. Remember, an infinitive is anything that's not conjugated. And then that makes futur proche. So, par exemple, if I was going to ask you, are you going to visit France this summer? So we have going, and then to visit. Notice that in English, we already have an infinitive right here waiting for us. So the way that you form the sentence is actually very much like English, which is fantastique. So, en français, they would say, allez-vous visiter la France cet été? So, are you going to visit France this summer? Notice that this is a more formal form or plural form. So if I'm talking to you all as a class, then that's what I would say. You can also use it like I'm going to eat soup tomorrow. To eat is again our infinitive. So it's je vais manger la soupe demain. So vais manger, going to eat. Voilà. Or, par exemple, and this may not necessarily be true right now, I guess it just depends. But Mr. Cannon and I, we are going to play a video game tonight. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice en français is that sometimes they do structure sentences like this, and that's to clarify who the we is in the situation. It's not something we typically do in English, but you'll notice it a lot in French. And then, of course, we have going to play. So, we have Monsieur Cannon et moi, nous allons jouer en jeu vidéo ce soir. So, Mr. Cannon and I, we, I know in English we say are going instead of just going, but we going, it doesn't make any sense. So, we are going to play. And notice that it's the same structure, going to play. All right, so that's basically how you can form futur proche, which is très chouette. You're going to love playing with this for sure. Now, inevitably, just like with everything else, eventually you're going to have to talk about the negative version of things. So we're going to have to add n'est pas into the whole mix. But the question with future proche is, where do you put it? Well, the good news is that it's pretty easy. You just put it around the conjugated aller, just like you would with any other situation. So you have ne, aller, pas, and then the infinitive. Now let me show you in an example. Hi, Monty. I don't know if you heard him meowing. He meows. Anyways, so for example, we aren't going to study this evening. Oh, no, we're not. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to do something more fun than that. You would say, nous ne va pas étudier ce soir. So notice we have the ne pas, and it's around va, the conjugated form of aller. And then étudier, our infinitive, is right over here, just hanging out. Same goes for if we're saying, I'm not going to get to visit France next year. I'm thinking that's going to be the case for me this time. But they, en français, they would say, je ne vais pas visiter Paris à l'année prochaine. So I'm not going to visit. Voila. Not too bad, right? Now let's change gears a little bit and talk about faire, which is to do or do not. There is no try. Yeah, I know, I couldn't resist. I had Yoda. Anyways, this is the last of the major irregular verbs that we use en français, toujours. And you can be very grateful for that there's only 4 major ones. Now with this, you're going to notice this familiar pattern with how it looks. It actually looks a lot like an IR verb in some ways, as far as how the first bit is conjugated here. Now you will notice there are some irregularities as we go along, so that's why this is an irregular verb. Désolé, I'm so sorry. But it's okay. This is the last major one that we're talking about. So we have je fais, tu fais, il fait, nous faisons, vous faites. Notice you get to say that T, vous faites, ils font. So let's practice saying them again. Je fais, tu fais, il fait, nous faisons, vous faites, ils font. Now, of course, with font, remember, notice that it has the ONT going on, just like the rest of the irregulars. Now here, mon étudiante, we have phrases with faire. Now, the cool thing about faire is that, remember how with avoir we had a bunch of different phrases that you could use. So when you're cold, you say, j'ai froid, I'm cold, I have cold. Or when you're warm, j'ai chaud, j'ai chaud, I have heat. The same kind of thing, or have hunger, j'ai faim. The same kind of thing goes for faire. So there are all kinds of different phrases that they use en français with faire. Now the full list, of course, is in your book. I believe it's on page 135. And they're a lot of fun. You're going to notice, though, that a lot of them have to do with housework and all of that kind of stuff. So let's go through them real quick so that way you can hear how they all work. So, faire attention is to pay attention to or watch out for. Faire les connaissances, and you usually add de after that, so to make the acquaintance of, basically is the easiest way to think of it. Faire les courses is to do errands. Faire la cuisine is to cook. Cool thing about la cuisine is also the word that they use for kitchen. So it's basically to do things in the kitchen. Faire ses devoirs, so to do your homework. Faire la lessive, which is to do laundry. Faire le marché is to go shopping or to go to the market. Remember, in France, they do things a little bit differently. They actually have like these cute little markets. It's basically like a farmer's market, toujours. But anyways, they faire le marché. Faire le ménage, to do housework en général. Faire une promenade, to take a walk, like on a promenade, you know. Now you're going to like this one. Faire le queue which is stand in line. So if you go to England, they say that they use queues or they do queuing. Well, in Francais, they faire le queue. We also have faire un tour, which is another way of taking a walk. There's not really a difference between faire une promenade and faire un tour. Either one is perfectly acceptable. They're completely interchangeable. However, if you want to say that you're taking a ride in a car, remember to add en voiture. So they would say faire un tour en voiture. So if I am taking a ride in a car, I would say je fais un tour en voiture. There you go. To do the dishes, one of my least favorite things, faire le vaisselle. You can faire un voyage, to take a trip, or if you play a sport, you faire du sport. Now the cool thing is that you can also insert the sport's name in place of sport. So say you like basketball, you can faire du basketball, or if you like golf, faire du golf, or if you like tennis, faire du tennis. And that's how it works. So these are phrases that you should be familiar with because, let's be honest, they're a lot of fun and they're something that you're going to work with this week. And that basically wraps up this this class session as far as all things I was going to teach you in class. So if you have any questions, let me know. Obviously, I'm not sure when I'm recording this what my schedule is going to look like and where we're going to be with everything, but go ahead and email me. Mrs. Bush, or I'm sorry, Madame Bush will keep you posted on my email situation and all that fun stuff. So anyways, like I said, if you have questions, let me know, and I will see you guys soon.